focus a lot on Chinese millennials as the key FIT traveler consumer segment that I find is worth sharing for this particular workshop. Okay, why millennials? Okay, there's just a very simple point. Millennials are the engines of growth for all emerging economies in the world. Previously, there was this BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, China. Recently, about a month ago, the inventor of the term BRIC came up with a new term called MINT. Mexico, Nigeria, Turkey, Indonesia. All these economies of growth, which he created all this abbreviation, has a few simple characteristics. They have fast-growing middle class, fueled by growing numbers of young workers, most of them which are using technology to learn, live, and work. So millennials are driving the core emerging economies of the world. In China, this is also the case. And I would just want to red flag one issue. Millennials alone in China is about the size of the United States population. This is a humongous size. And in 2020, they will form 51% of all urban dwellers in Chinese cities. So if you're talking to if you're targeting urban dwellers, millennials is the key consumer segment in China. Okay. And thanks to them, they are keeping China's economy afloat. Okay, they're born from the 1980s onwards, mid-1980s onwards. 1990 is the year 2000. And they're all the product of China's single-child policy. Because they are the sole children, they're much larger than expected influence on their parents, on their elders. I'll touch on this later. The interesting thing about them is that they want to be individuals, but they are very insecure individuals. Everything they do requires a certain level of social acceptance, social approval from their network before they actually commit to a decision. That's why I mentioned this phrase just now. Travel is still a communal decision executed at the individual level. Before I go to this country or this destination, I'll definitely check with my friends who have been there before, and I'll listen to their advice on what to do and what not to do. And then from there, and only from there, do I think about personalizing it. The other thing about this particular millennial consumers, they are very emotional. Insecurity and impulse buy consumption works very well together. So there is a reason why before they eat something, they want to take a picture and share it online. Or when they go to a place, they want to take pictures and share it online. It's all about getting social acceptance for their purchasing decisions ASAP. Because when they get their friends liking the photos, commenting good job or whatever, they feel even better about their purchase. Because without that, they feel very insecure about what they do. Because there's so much information going online. And they lack the life experiences to actually make decisions based on their own life experiences. Okay. Key thing, the millennial generation is also your smartphone generation. And millennials are everywhere. Even Nielsen's 2014 Australian Connected Consumers commented on millennials that they are indeed the smartphone generation. So what I'm trying to say is this. For the millennials, there's only one screen, your smartphone, but multiple content streams from other media that they're consuming. Okay, one thing that we have mentioned earlier, they are very into self-expression. And right now, this has also even affected luxury consumption. Instead of, the normal LV style that the Chinese go into, with the icon and logo all over the bag, the Chinese now, especially the millennials, prefer more understated luxury purchase, like for example the red coat that Burberry has been selling for the last 1-2 years that doesn't have its logo elsewhere. It's more in terms like they want to enjoy the brand experience more than letting people know what brand experience that they are buying into. So for them, especially when they're online, they see their online sale as a real self, and any brands that they consume online or recommend is part of their own personal brand entourage. Key thing, they favor travel experiences different from their parents. So what works for baby boomers, people born in 1960s, 70s, does not work for them at all. Edelman has done this 1895 millennial study for 2 years, 2010 and 2012. They already made it very clear that the millennials want brand experience that's different from the older generation. They trust brands and search, so investment in search is critical. There are strong brand influence on friends, families, and even elders and superiors. Just now, Grace mentioned something about we need to go mass. Even if we want to just focus on the premium fit travelers, focusing on the fit travelers, FIT travelers, millennial travelers is a very good way of approaching mass because they affect the people around them, not just the elders, but even their superiors in the office space who are using social media just to find out what the younger staff is doing. And there's such a phrase used by the agile marketeers, the 1, the 9, and the 90. We always target the 1%, which exerts the most social influence over the social network. These are the people you invite to major events, get them to share photos, whatever. Their whole entourage, the 9%, they actually share the content this 1% creates. And the content that's being shared by this 9% eventually will reach the remaining 90%. So this is how people use content and this type of millennial influencers. Okay, one good thing about them, they're apt to take actions on brands offline based on what they read online. The perfect particular target audience if you have a digital strategy. A few things about them. This is a fun part. The Chinese people always start with search before they do anything, before they even talk to their friends and family. One key insight, they don't want to appear stupid in front of their friends and by not knowing anything about what they're asking, so they start with search. The other thing, even on social media platform, searching for brand information is a key activity, not industry information, brand information. Okay? Online video marketing is key to reaching millennials, not TV. If you have online TV, you will see this interesting phenomenon that prime time for OTV, online TV, or online video, actually starts from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. That's the millennials' golden period. If you go TVC, that's still 7:30 to 9. Totally miss out on them if you go TVC. On weekends, there's 2-3 prime time. 10 to 12 for the millennials who didn't go out on Friday. 2 to 4 for the millennials who did go out on Friday. And of course, 9 a.m. to 11, the general time where they watch video. Key thing that I want to touch on e-commerce, millennial shoppers is actually your key target audience, even for travel packages. Because from now all the way to 2015, there's 30 million Chinese consumers shopping for the very first time online. This is a very big base that you all shouldn't miss. And the figures on the right-hand side actually show you there's far more inbound traffic for social commerce from the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And the other thing, why online and social e-commerce is so important for millennials. The younger they are, the more important online shopping. The higher the income, the less important e-commerce is. So if you want to target the established people, the baby boomers born 60s, 70s, don't go online. But if you want to target the younger group, going online and e-commerce is a must. Okay, this is a study that I did with Dongji University 1.5 years back. But there's one thing I want to keep stressing out. 59% of any purchase decision this group makes is determined by social media reviews and content shared by peers. This is something that we can never ignore. And last but not least, they're all emotion-based spending. These people are all impulse buyers. Okay, they may plan if it's like established holidays like the Golden Holiday Week, but we are also looking at ad hoc, spontaneous holiday making for one of the weekends that they go into. All this requires more of an impulse, emotional trigger to get them to buy. Okay. I'm going to move very fast because I will leave some time for the other speakers. The problem with targeting them is everyone's targeting them. 2011, there's 23 brand updates on Facebook. 2013, there's 1,440. It is the same issue on social media for millennials in China. They have way too much content targeting them. It is to the point that it is impossible to break through. And a lot of brands are finding a lot of problems. They can't do product launches properly. 60% of foreign brands lost market share last year, and they're all losing out to local brands. Less premium experiences. The reason is very simple. This is a snapshot of how Western brands do their marketing. It's about facts. It's about benefits. It's about very simple things about country which the millennials already know. The Chinese local brands, they always focus on the emotion-based messaging, on how it benefits them and their consumers. And that's why the Chinese local brands are doing a much better job at marketing for the last 1-2 years. Why emotion works? Very simply, it's the only way to get into the millennials' social radar. To activate the brand, product, service, and its asset, you have to create the emotional connection. It's a must. The emotional connection lifts the brand into the social radar. I just give you one example why emotion-based marketing works. 4 years ago, when I just first came to China, I was consulting a 4A's ad agency. Very funny. An ad guy doing consulting for an agency. The ECD actually asked me out for coffee and asked me what I can do for him because I just came to China about 3 days ago. There was a convenience store with a big carton box of new shampoo products. So I told him, why not we use one day, tell the store owner how to sell this big carton of shampoo products. So I asked him to go first. He asked the store owner to do a simple poster, new product, don't miss out, and then asked the store owner to push back all the old products around the doorway so the new product would stand out. That day, the store didn't sell one. The next day, I just told the store owner 2 things. 1, remove new product from the poster, replace it with hot selling, but in Chinese, of course. 2, take out 70% of the products in the big carton box, leaving just 30% behind. After you finish selling the 30% of the products in the carton box, just put back another 20%. That day, the store sold almost 40%. So what's the insight here? Price is the same, brand is the same, media use is the same, target audience is the same. The only thing I did is to create an emotional gap where the passerby think that the product is selling at hotcakes. If you don't buy now, it's a waste. That's it. When you're dealing with insecure, sentimental people, which is the exact profile for Chinese, this emotion-based messaging is the best way to target them. That's why I have one phrase in Chinese for the Chinese people here. When it comes to Chinese, 攻心为上. Attacking the heart is the best way. Okay, how do we do that? There's 2 ways that I'm going to share with you with worksheets. I'm going to move very fast. If you are more of an institution, look at brand purpose. But I'm going to connect back to your workbook. Doing KNAP talks about brand promise. And brand purpose and brand promise is actually very similar. So you can borrow a bit of what this chart is showing. But listen very carefully. Your brand promise and your brand is actually a product. The millennials only buy products and services from brands that they buy into. So if they don't love your brand, they feel your brand doesn't fit their personal self-image or their personal values, they will never ever consider your products and services, even if they're the best in the market. This is why branding really matters to this millennial crowd. So if you're using the why, how, what to create your brand promise, this is a very simple column for you to fill. For example, from the why section, think about what you can substantiate your particular brand promise. Is there something unique about the land, the people, the culture, the business? Is there a story, a message that can be distilled from it? That's one way. 2, list out all your current brand manifestos, business visions that is indigenous to Queensland. See if it maps back to why. This is the key thing. You must give people a reason to believe, but you have to articulate your beliefs first. And last but not least, you must do what you preach. So what are the programs that you currently run on the business level, tourism level, travel level, that is linked, driven by guiding principles, and linked back to your brand promise? Okay, but if you're a small business, then I would just advise you to screw this approach. A better one. Okay, I will show you a simple approach. This is Continental Tires, due to time constraint. I'm not going to show the video. The link is there. Continental Tire is a German brand. But the problem is, In China, no one cares about tires. They drive their car until the tire bursts, bring it back to the garage to replace the exact same one the car came with. That's it. That's the purchasing pattern. So for Continental Tires to actually try to do a retail promotion in China, they do not know how to break this current consumer purchase journey. So when they came to us, we gave them this approach. We told them that you need to create an opening via social occasion. So we actually told them that your key activity, seriously, you need to make use of all the social holidays. For example, Qingming, which is the tombstone, cleaning day, all the artificial holidays, a promotion that stretch over that. So what can they do? We told them this, let's give a social-based emotional meme. And the meme is called the 3 years each. Everyone knows what's the 7 year each, but what is 3年之痒, the 3 year each? The 3 year each is something that we created after listening to urban dwellers in Shanghai and Beijing that after buying a new car, they never have the chance to really take it out for a nice long drive, road trip with their friends and family, even after 2 to 3 years. So we created this meme called 3 years to remind city dwellers that after 3 years having this new car, driving to the same place every day, you deserve a vacation with your friends and family. So we created a vacation creator on Weibo at the time, which allows them to add their friends or the family to 3 recommended routes near Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. And if they do select for these routes, they not just get a chance to win few vouchers, they also get a chance to get free tune-up at all the Continental dealer franchise. This is how we actually build a social or emotional occasion to push a tactical message. So how do you do this from the planning level? Okay, very simple. This is a 5-liner brief. The answer just requires 1 line. 1, task, targeting millennials. So our communication or content strategy should be easily understood. And the easiest way that we can think of is just start off with simple line. How do you think your brand can attract millennials the most? The easiest way to target them is always use the theme play, because they are always into games and gamification type of techniques. So, but you can evolve certain themes regarding your offering or your particular business. Okay. Second, and this is probably the most important question to ask, what's the psychological, user-focused, company-centric, cultural passion, or tension points around this truth about your company, product, or service? And this should be strong emotionally and can help attract sympathy, support, or participation. This is the key thing. Marketing is an emotional approach. But when it came to China, all the Western brands started with just facts and promises, and there's no emotion that they can use to build social currency. We have to bring this back if you want the Chinese to fall more in love with your brand or products or service. Okay, once you have identified the key passion and tension points around your products and service, or around the user behavior that you want to exploit, you think about how you can release it. And the best way to release it is to think about social occasion. There is so many things in a social calendar, and your marketing calendar must be a social calendar in China from now on. Like, what do people do in Christmas? What the Chinese do in Christmas is very different to what you all do in Christmas here. Chinese Valentine's Day. Please remember there's a Chinese Valentine's Day. What people do for the 4 days that they go to clean the tombstones, they spend 1 day there, they have 3 days to travel around the place, or just take a trip outside. Golden Week holidays, always a very good travel period. All this you have to map out to the social occasions that matter to the Chinese. And then, when you talk about this online and social occasions, think about stuff that they can do online. Also think about stuff they can do offline, like the 1111 e-commerce sales that move 6 billion worth of product. That's purely online. There are also offline social occasions that you can create. For example, you have Queensland's Fashion Week. Just from what I heard, couldn't you all broadcast it live, real time to China using WeChat, like what I shared, using the Burberry approach? And then just toss out as many ideas as possible. In fact, you can actually latch on the fact that Chinese love to take pictures. Why not allow them to have a photo taking competition that they can customize gift papers based on what they take? Since they buy so much gifts for their family, why not arrange to have the photos taken in Queensland to be the wrapping paper that they can print out at home for the gifts?
One same idea is that we are tracking the way to attract the guests to know you and to get to your place, and then we can have the opportunities to do the upsell. And we can just share about 2 examples how we get it. Okay, the first example is that we cooperate with the Universal Studios in Singapore, and we are very strong cooperators for them in China. And last month we sent nearly 9,000 tickets per month. But before, 2 months ago, we only made 100. So how we did it? Because first one is we resign about the productions according to the different people's different requirements. The first one is that we do the research, what the people want to do in Singapore. And we find that one place, the Universal Studios. Why? Because 90% of them to Singapore, they go to the Universals. Because they covered about the families, the new couples, young individual, the visitors. Then what we find that what's the barrier for the people to get know them and get in. The first is that they didn't put a lot of money to advertisement and in China to do the promotion. And the second one is that we must be find one thing is quite different to only sell the tickets. So the first step, we change that we get the tickets. In the before, if our guests want to get tickets, we must be buying from the inbound operators or from them, and they send the tickets to mainland of China. The guests buy from us, and we send the tickets to them. So this is very long term, and we must be paid for the staffs, we must be paid for delivery. And then we just can consider that how you get these tickets. Then we find one duty-free shops in RWS, the Universal Studios. And then we put all our tickets there, and you buy the tickets and get tickets from that desk. And then we bring the volume to the duty-free shops. They pay us the commission, they pay us the per head according to their promotions. Because in the before, no one know these duty shops in China. And then after that, we're just thinking about what can we do in the further for our visitors. Then we consider about the restaurant. Because in the Universal, average they'll spend about 5 hours to 7 hours. So they will have the 2 dinners. And the first step, we're asking for the Universal to give us the different vouchers with other visitors. And then they created a barbecue vouchers for us. But they have a rules. If you want to use this voucher, must be you go by couples, and one is free. Buy one, get one free. And then they give some beverages, something like that. They were attractive there. In the before, no one decided to have this barbecue in the Universal. But they find it tricky to attract the people there, and they selling much more about their meals and their souvenirs and otherwise. And then we find that how we solve the traffic problem. Because they're from the A to B, they must be need taxi or subway or something to get that. So we talking with the casino. In the RWS, they have the casinos in Singapore, one of the 2. And they want the Chinese gamblers there to make the games. Then we just consider, can you just feedback all the taxi fee to our visitors who want to go your place? And then you give us a free meal in your restaurant, a settled menus. And then we put that in this. And after that, we also find that we can find some point that to add in our values, such as DFS cash vouchers, something like that. So we create a new thing. One that is we make the people well-known. We have the idea go to Singapore, which place was fit to your requirements. And then The guests buy the tickets from us, not only to get a ticket, they get the meals, they get the transportations, they get the shopping carts, they get whatever. So you make this very attractive for them. Then we put that every point we do that fragment, and we rebuild a system. And the second step, we've changed the buying environment. Because in the before, the guests, if they buy from the PC set or from the retailers, they only can buy these tickets before they leaving. And we use the mobile to create a system. The guests can buy all things when they are arriving. Why they need that? Because they just worry about, if I buy the tickets, it's raining, I can go. Also, I'm very tired the last day. Today, I want to change my itineraries. So they use their mobile. They're very easy to buy it. When they're searching about the Singapore, or they're arriving in Singapore, we have the LBS, the location-based service. We know you're already there, and we'll push you that what kind of things you can do. And you also can point out, I'm the individual travelers. I go with families. I go with honeymoons. What kind of service you can give us? So we make that happen at 2 steps. So that's what I mean is that if you want to do some propagandas and promotions, maybe we first will be realize about the users, the consumers' requirements. Then we feedback them according to their consumers. It's not only sell the goods. So because you will be very, very high investment in China, you put that in the media, you put that online, but you don't know who is your users. But for the platform, especially the O2 platform, 100% of our guests or consumers was the right people. Because we already know they will be there. And then we'll feedback to satisfy their requirements. So that's a little bit difference. So that's the example to share with you. So if you want to try with that, also you can cooperate with us and also the GQ, and we can do the same things in China. And we attract them and make them know about this. And the third step, if they have this happy experience, when they're back, even they are still in the destination, they'll share this information. That's like we mentioned, the WeChat, Weibo, anything. That's very good propaganda. That's a very good, the advertisement, because all this aim was their large circle of friends. They trust me because they see my photos, they see my article, they know me, they trust me. Then they will share this interesting information to their friends. So that's what will be it's not plus, increased not by plus, but by times. So that's what we try to do in the Chinese market with you. And the last sentence is that everything's changed. Only one thing is not changed, is change. Okay, so let's find how we satisfy the Chinese visitors in the future, how we satisfy them, and how we make it happen. So that's my idea. Thank you.
As for marketing for Australian products, I always keep in my mind multi-channel. Of course, everybody in China talks about online, and keep in mind what customer you will have from China. That's a high-end consumers. That's not a short-haul destination travelers. So I have experience that is, you keep in mind, you use all the marketing tools, including online. My experience, you have to be in China. You find the right channel. There are so many channels. We talk about multi-channel. There are so many channels. But which one fit your products? Because we do not, Grace just mentioned, we do not have huge budget for a small branding. So we have a limited product. So we keep in mind multi-channel, you find the right channel where your target audience, your past message. I could give you an example for some of the products promoted in China from Australia. Even in Queensland, I have the experience with Tangalooma Resort. Actually, Tangalooma Resort, when they first entered China, that is 2003. And at that time, there were no online system. But what he promoted in China is try to find the right channel. At that time, the right channel is travel agents, of course. But about 2000, if I remember correctly, 2008, and blogging is very popular. And then Tangalooma began to use blogging to focus on the FIT markets. And now, last year, I met with DJ. So many of them know David James. About 1 year ago, I met DJ. DJ told me from the online, besides blogging and other online tools, he get about 30% is FIT from China, of all his business from China's market. So, because each supplier in Australia, you have a limited capacity for the lumps from China. Although the market is so huge, it's so potential, but you have to find the right channel. So that's the first thing I mentioned. The second thing is try to do a little change about your products to match with the high-end consumers in China. That's very important. I mentioned one more example. You know, when some of the suppliers have a lot of Chinese groups stay in your property or have lunches in your property or have dinner in property, Chinese like to talking during their dinner. So it will do something not good from other market, from the European market or from the domestic market. How do we change it? Now, one example is, because that's two groups from China, you could set a certain time for the group lunch time or the group dinner time. But for the FIT markets, even from China, you could mix them with those FITs from domestic and also from European or from the United States. In this way, you have given our high-end consumer a very good feeling. They are really traveling abroad. They want to mix with people from our destination. So try to do some change. But the change is not big. It costs nothing to your property. The change is very small. So in that way, so you could get more and more FIT. So in summary, my idea is, so keep in your mind multi-channel in China, but try to find the right channel for your property, for your products. Secondly, do small change, not big change. Try to match with the requirements of high-end consumer from China. Thank you.
To what Rita just mentioned about Tangalooma Island, I just want to add on to what Rita just mentioned. The reason, one of the secrets is why Tangalooma Resort has been so successful in China market. Previously, it was called Tangalooma Resort. It's Tangalooma Island. In China, it was called, it's virtually translated as Tangalooma 度假村 Resort. Ever since they changed their name to Dolphin Island, 海豚岛. So everyone knows, oh, we want to go to Dolphin Island. Actually, it's Tangalooma Island. So in a way that, when you really look into the local market, you need to get your message to be resonate with the local market, to, smartly do some small changes, as Rita just mentioned, small changes, but makes a big difference.
Queensland shines on me, where it shines. Queensland shines on me, where Australia shines.